Hi there folks, welcome back to Rich Review. So last night at the Alamo Draft House, I happened to watch The Little Things, written and directed by John Lee Hancock, and apparently Warner Brothers has decided that for this year, they're going to exclusively put all their films on HBO Max and also onto theaters. Let me confess, I personally found myself thinking I can only watch movies in theaters, and when it comes to watching them at home, or on my computer, I have a harder time doing that because you can easily get distracted. Now, when it comes to John Lee Hancock, he's made some competently directed films. He made The Rookie, which I thought is fine. He made The Alamo, which I haven't seen in a very long time. He directed The Blind Side, which I don't particularly care for at all. He made Saying Mr. Banks is a good enough film. I think I'm a fan of his sort of last two films, which happens to be The Founder and The Highwayman. I know a couple people weren't big fans of The Highwayman, but I happen to be that. Apparently this script here has been kicking around since the early 90s, at least at one point. Spielberg was interested in directing this, but backed out because he believed that the script was way too dark. And given the fact this man made Schindler's List, what can that tell you about Spielberg at the time? So John Lee Hancock basically said, okay, I'm just going to direct this thing myself, and now he has, and this is set in the 1990s. Outside some of the technology, you would not have known this was set in the 90s, actually. A sort of exiled cop named John Deacon, played by Denzel Washington, in a rural area where murders very rarely happen at all, if they do. And then he comes back to his old stomping ground of Los Angeles to pick up evidence. There he meets some of his old colleagues, some of whom are not exactly welcoming, others are indifferent, others are happy to see him to a certain degree. There's obviously a dark event in his past that made him want to go into exile. We come to learn about that later on during the film. There he also happens to meet Jim Baxter, his replacement, played by Rami Malek, and he's a college-educated, media-savvy type of person. Basically says to him, hey, just don't pee on my leg and maybe I'll let you tag along. The Denzel Washington character gets involved in the Rami Malek character's case. He rents a hotel room on a seedier area of town, which, the Rami Malek character sort of comments on. Murders that seem to happen point to only a single suspect, and obviously at one point the guy in charge says to Rami Malek, don't be like Deacon here. In 6 months he lost his marriage, he had bypass surgery. Now of course we meet Albert Sparma, played by Jared Leto, who's probably the creepiest thing. And granted, Jared Leto has always been creepy, and here I wouldn't say he's any less creepier than say when he's playing the Joker or any other Mark David Chapman, but clearly he has a long straggly beard and hair. He's self-obsessed with crime, more or less. Now this could be the same old mismatched pair film about two detectives on the trail of a killer. The third act goes into somewhat different territory here, including an ending that I won't get into, but if you read online, people are mixed about that ending. Is the ending unsatisfactory? I can't really say. Would Spielberg have a better time sort of explaining the ending to you all? Maybe. And Spielberg may have just wanted to go a different route. He may have wanted to put his own spin on this material. You clearly feel for the Denzel Washington character. You clearly feel for the Rami Malek character as a family man. Clearly should not end up like the Denzel Washington character. And at least at one point someone says to him, I look into your eyes and what I see is not good. Clearly this is the guy who's haunted by a whole lot of stuff. We've all heard the stories of cops who really sometimes they fall into a bottle, and hopefully sometimes those cops can actually get out of that bottle, but sometimes they fall deeper into that bottle, and it's sad. And we also happen to get that one scene in which basically, yes, the captain says, in 2 days I'm going to bring in the FBI to help solve your case, which quite frankly, that always seems to happen in crimes like this. They also state that during this pandemic, when I have like 3 theaters, one of whom I actually go to, is that most of the time there are less than, say, 10 people. I've only gone a couple of times when there have only been like more than 10 people. This was the most viewed showing that I've seen in a while. which I think apparently there are like 40 some odd people in the theater, which is like, that's amazing. So in the end, folks, what I'm going to say about The Little Things, I am going to give this a matinee rating. If you really want to see this, see it on HBO Max or in theaters. So folks, The Little Things, have you seen this? What do you think? Please put everything in the comment box here below here, folks. As always, folks, like, comment, subscribe. Rate yourself with knowledge. I'm at Michael Rich Reviews 2 on Twitter. I'll see you next time, folks. Yes, hooray.